I finally got my first f2.8 zoom lens for my Sony full-frame mirrorless camera. No, it's not a Sigma or Sony 24-70, nor the Tamron 28-75. It's a Tamron 70-180 f2.8. Hi, this is David of Tech for Baba, a channel I share my experiences on how technology can enhance my time with my kids and family as a dad. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. In today's video, I'll share how the Tamron 70-180 f2.8 became my first f2.8 zoom lens, how it compares to the Sony 70-200 f4 lens, and if I will be replacing it. Rather than technical details, which there are many great reviews out, I will focus more on how practical this lens is for a dad with kids to chase around and capture, and share a cool bonus ability this lens has at the end. Tamron has been putting out great f2.8 zoom lenses for the Sony full-frame mirrorless camera lately. For a hobbyist dad who needs to take care of the kids first before taking pictures of them, these Tamron f2.8 zoom lenses are very attractive because they're small and light, more affordable, without sacrificing much, if at all, in focus, performance, and picture quality. I was very tempted to replace my Sony 24-105 f4 lens with the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 as an all-around travel lens, but decided against it. I'll link a video here and below if you are interested in my struggle there. And since the Tamron 70-280 came out, I've been contemplating it as my first wide-angle zoom lens, but have not pulled the trigger. I finally gave in to Tamron with this 70-180 f2.8 lens. I've had the Sony 70-200 f4 for some time. I got this lens mainly for kids' recitals and school performances. While I love to have the Sony 70-200 f2.8 G Master lens, it's just too expensive for me. It'd also be very cumbersome for me to take it along with the kids, family, and friends to these performances. The Sony 70-200 f4 lens has been the much more economical and manageable choice until now. Here are the two lenses side by side. The Tamron 70-180 is a bit smaller and lighter than the Sony 70-200 f4. The Tamron's length is 149mm, 5.9 inches, versus the Sony 175mm, 6.9 inches. The Tamron weighs 810 grams, 28.6 ounces, and the Sony a little bit heavier at 840 grams, 29.7 ounces. The filter diameters are also different. Smaller on the Tamron, 67mm, versus Sony 72mm. That's amazing. Of course, a lot of it is physics, so Tamron had to give us some features to achieve this. First sacrifice is the zoom range, 180mm at the long end instead of 200mm. I was a bit concerned at first about losing 20mm on the long end, since the reason I got this telephoto zoom lens is for the longer zoom. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather have the longer zoom, but I'm willing to give up 20mm for a faster f2.8 lens that's lighter and smaller. Did I say lighter and smaller already? I think I'll be saying that a few more times. The build quality is another area where Tamron sacrificed. The Tamron lens is all plastic, not mostly metal like the Sony, but it still feels quite solid. The Tamron extends a little bit as it zooms, where the Sony has internal zoom, so the length of the lens does not change as it zooms. I'm glad the Tamron is still weather sealed, so it could still withstand quite a bit. Certainly good enough for my use cases. In addition, like the other two Tamron zooms, Tamron 70-180 has a minimalistic design without all the buttons and the tripod mount. The only thing left is a switch to lock the zoom extension, which is helpful for storing and carrying the lens. I'd love to still have a physical button to switch between manual and autofocus, but if I really need it often, I can use one of the camera's programmable buttons for it. Last major feature and the hardest for me to give up is image stabilization. Good thing the Sony full-frame mirrorless camera has in-body stabilization, which is sufficient for wider angle lenses. However, at the longer focal length, having lens stabilization working with the Sony IBIS can be beneficial. For photos, I'd certainly be willing to sacrifice lens image stabilization to move from f4 to f2.8, especially when my subjects, the kids usually, are the ones moving much more than my hands. However, for videos, this may mean I need to use a tripod or lean against the wall more often. So overall, am I willing to give up these features for a faster f2.8 lens? Yes. Oh, and I haven't mentioned the most important. I found Tamron 70-180 f2.8 focuses just as fast, as silently, and its picture quality is actually sharper and better than the Sony 70-200 f4 lens, as other reviewers have been saying. Well, there's one more important feature, the price. Tamron 70-180 f2.8 costs $11.99 US, which is about $300 cheaper than the Sony 70-200 f4. It's a good deal and easy decision for me to pick the Tamron 70-180 over the Sony 70-200 f4 lens. An added benefit if you already have one or both of the Tamron f2.8 zoom lenses is the filter diameter on all three Tamron lenses are the same as 67mm, so the same size filters can be shared. Perhaps this will push me over to get the Tamron 17-28 f2.8. Since this lens is light and small, I can carry it with me more often than just to recitals and performances. I'm looking forward to using it more for portraits for sure. And there's a bonus ability. The added bonus I'm also looking forward to exploring is this lens's short focus distance. The lens has a relatively short minimum object distance, or focus distance of 0.85 meters, about 33.5 inches, across the entire zoom range when autofocusing. As a reference, Sony 70-200 f4's minimum focus distance is about 1 to 1.5 meters, about 39 to 59 inches. What's really special is in manual focus at 70mm, the minimum distance goes much further down to 0.27 meters, about 10.6 inches. That's quite a close-up shot, almost like a macro lens. It's hard to focus around the image periphery in this mode, but it's certainly a creative perspective unique to this lens. Deciding which lens to get is usually not very straightforward for me, since there is rarely a lens that can fit the need of all the criteria perfectly. But that's why it's fun to have the flexibility of interchangeable lenses as a creative tool. However, this decision, refreshingly, was quite a simple one for me. Well, I'll miss the cool-looking white Sony lens a little bit. It could be a harder decision when comparing this Tamron with the Sony 70-200 f2.8 G Master. The Sony G Master has the same wide f2.8 aperture, fast and quiet focus, better built with great image quality and image stabilization. However, it costs more than twice of the Tamron 70-180. It's also much bigger and heavier to carry around and shoot with. Even if money is not an issue, I still highly recommend looking into this much cheaper option, especially if you're just starting out with the Sony full-frame mirrorless camera. Certainly for a hobbyist dad like me, Tamron 70-180 f2.8 is the best and most practical zoom lens in this zoom range right now. Thanks for watching. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share. Are you considering the Tamron 70-180 f2.8? Or if you've already gotten one, let me know in the comment section below how you like it or dislike it. If you want to see more videos on how technology can enhance our time with kids and family, please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, cherish each moment.